Hey everyone, Teo here. Today I'm reviewing the Unihertz Jelly 2E, a phone with a 3-inch display, and this runs on Android 12 OS. And this is how small the phone is compared to some other items that I have on this table. This is how big the phone is compared to the iPhone. It's about 1/3 or slightly less than 1/3 of the size of the iPhone. So this is a really small phone. Let me tell you the disclaimer first before I start this review. This is a review unit provided by the company Unihertz. In this video, I'm just going to present to you my findings so that you can decide whether or not this is worth the money. And the retail price is US $169. During the first week of the launch from November 1st to the 7th, there is this early bird deal where you can get this phone at $139 US. And after that, it's going to sell for $159 during the pre-sale period, and after that, it's $169. So if you want to get this phone at the early bird price of $139, you have to sign up for this newsletter on their website, which I will link to in the video description below. If you compare Jelly 2E to the earlier phone, you will see that this is actually not an upgrade. This is more of a variation of that earlier model because the RAM has been reduced from 6 gigs to 4 gigs. Internal storage has been reduced from 128 gigs to 64 gigs. There is no NFC, and the processor is also less powerful. Alright, just to give you the bottom line up front, this is a budget phone that performs quite well, actually performed better than I expected. It has 4 gigs of RAM, which is not an issue. 64 gigs of internal storage is on the lower side, but there is a micro SD card slot, so you can expand storage very easily. And the MediaTek A20 chip inside is not that powerful, but it's a quad-core processor. It's still sufficient for use with stock Android. And the most important thing for me is it's quite smooth when it comes to operation and it doesn't lag. So that to me is quite surprising because I expected this phone to lag a lot given the price point. If you happen to be in the market for a really small phone, this is one you can consider. Using a phone this small has its own pros and cons. One of the biggest advantages, of course, is it's really portable. As for downsides or limitations, usability is affected due to the small display, but I've got to say that Android OS and many of the popular apps are actually quite well optimized for a display this small. The battery is about 5 hours at maximum brightness, and if you think it's short, well, chances are you are probably not going to be on the phone for long periods of time due to the small display, so 5 hours of battery life can probably last you for a day. Using such a small phone can also help prevent you from using your phone excessively or from using social media excessively, because watching shows on such a small phone isn't as enjoyable compared to watching on a larger phone. And as you can see, the keyboard is kind of small, so this will take some time to get used to. So it's not that comfortable to be typing on this phone for long periods of time. That again has the unintentional upside of making you use the phone less. So that can be seen as an upside. Alright, on to the full review. Let's take a look at what's included in the box. There's a lanyard that you can tie to the transparent silicone case that's included. Quick start guide and warranty and safety info. USB-C to USB-A charging cable, a SIM tray ejection tube. So this is a rather clean and simple design. This phone is very comfortable in hand thanks to the rounded corners and the rounded sides. The build quality is very solid even though the case is actually plastic. There is no flex at all. The weight is 110 grams, so this is considered lightweight, and this is a phone you can put in your pocket and just forget that it's even there. On the side here, we have the volume buttons. On the back, there's a 16 megapixel camera with image quality that I would expect from a budget phone. As long as the lighting is good, the image quality is good enough. That's the flashlight, the fingerprint scanner, which is not perfect, so sometimes you may have to put your finger there a few times for the phone to unlock. But there is also face unlock, so you can use a combination of the two to help you unlock the phone faster. This plastic casing behind is semi-glossy, and at the top we have a 3.5mm audio jack, infrared. And here on this side, that's the power button. This red button here is a shortcut button, which is supposed to be customizable, but I haven't figured out how to customize this yet. By default, when you press and hold this button, it will turn on the flashlight, and when you double click, it will do a screenshot. That's the SIM card tray, which can take 2 nano SIMs or a SIM and a micro SD card. So you can expand storage on this phone very easily. That's the USB-C port. The USB-C cable that's included is L-shaped, which is great because when you are charging the phone, this design will let you use your phone comfortably compared to using a cable that is like this. This is awkward. Volume for the speaker at the bottom is surprisingly loud, so I don't think you're going to have any problems hearing the phone even in a very noisy environment. So on the front, we have the 3-inch display with a resolution of 480 by 854. Some of the icons and text can be quite small though. At the top is a 12 megapixel camera, and the speaker audio quality is decent for a budget phone. The colors on this LCD display look good out of the box. Viewing angles are pretty good. And the brightness is good enough for use under the sun, preferably under the shade. So as you can see, pixelation is not noticeable. This display is sharper than I expected. And at the bottom, we have the classic Android buttons, the back, the home, and the task button. So this display actually looks pretty good. This phone is running on Android 12 OS, and there is no bloatware included, which is great. The overall performance is pretty smooth. I've been testing this phone for about a week now, and I did not notice any lag. So when you swipe down, you get the quick settings, and when you swipe down further, you get more settings, and when you press this button, you go into the full settings. And this is how the UI is optimized for such a small display. There will be a lot of scrolling involved because all the content have to fit into this small display. When you swipe up, you have the app drawer, and you can see when scrolling through the icons or swiping through the pages, it's very smooth. Let's open YouTube and have a look. So when you use YouTube with the phone in portrait orientation, this video here is quite small. It is of course possible to watch videos on such a small phone, and the video watching experience of course is not going to be as good compared to watching videos or shows or movies on a larger phone. There will be details that you can't see just because of the small size. Aspect ratio of this display is 16:9, so this works great with YouTube videos that are also 16:9. The resolution of this video is actually just 480p, but pixelation is not noticeable due to, again, the display size and resolution combination. Let's minimize YouTube and open Instagram. So the mini YouTube player here is quite small for me to actually see what's going on. Let's open Instagram. So this is how Instagram looks. The visuals and the videos are going to look small. Let me just close this YouTube player. So when I see the images are so small, when the text is so small, I don't really feel like I want to use this phone that often, which is great because I don't want to use my phone excessively. So you can see the comic panels here. They are small, and the text within the comic panels are even smaller. But this is still very usable, as in I can tap on the things that I want to tap on quite easily. Typing on such a small keyboard will take some time to get used to, so be prepared to have a lot more typos. But you can use the spell check to help you. And because the keyboard is so small, for me, I also don't feel like typing on the keyboard for too long. Again, that's great at preventing me from using the phone that often, that excessively. Let's take a look at Amazon. So you can see the app layout is actually quite optimized for small displays. But of course, not all apps will be optimized so well for such small displays. Let's take a look at Facebook, which is actually optimized quite well. So it's just the images that are small and also the text that are small. How good websites will look will depend on how the website is optimized for small displays. So this is my blog and this is my artist review for the M2 iPad Pro. This phone has a refresh rate of 60 Hz, so when you are scrolling really quickly, there is the usual 60 Hz stutter, which is not surprising. The text is on the smaller side, so if you want to zoom in and read, you can only read a few words at a time and you have to scroll more. And my website is actually not optimized for phones. There is this weird layout glitch here that you can see. This is the Guardian website. Web pages load pretty quickly, pretty fast. This is Reddit, and here some of the texts are even smaller, but still very usable. This is the app that I'm using to track battery life, and the battery capacity for this phone is 2000 milliamp hours, and based on the past few days of usage, I was able to get around 5 to 6 hours of battery life at maximum brightness. So if you are not using the phone at maximum brightness, chances are the battery life will last longer. Because I don't use this phone that much and I don't feel the need to use this phone that much due to the smaller display, 5 to 6 hours of battery life can last me for a day or a day and a half. So that's the task button. Switching between apps is quite quick, quite smooth as well. The MediaTek A20 chip in this phone is not that powerful, so I'm not sure whether this phone will lag when you use it for a year or two. But the pricing for this phone, I would say it's reasonable considering the specs that you get and also the overall performance that you can get with this phone. I don't really game on phones, so I can't say much about gaming. The gaming experience on such a small screen is not ideal. I mean, I can't really see my character that clearly. That character is just a few pixels in height. And when I have my fingers on the display, on the controls, you can see my fingers actually block a good portion of the display. So that will affect your gaming experience as well. And the processor in this phone isn't the most powerful, so there will be limitations when it comes to playing 3D graphics intensive games. It is possible to play simple games on this phone, just that it may be difficult to see the details and work the controls with your fingers. I like this phone. The main downside of this phone for me would be the lack of NFC, which is a feature that I actually use. So if you want or need NFC, you can go with the earlier phone, Jelly 2, which is priced at US $179 at the time of this review. And that phone is running on Android 11. I hope Unihertz can update the Android OS on Jelly 2 because that's still a pretty good phone even though it came out 2 years ago, and that phone has better specs than this new phone. So this is $169, which I think is a reasonable price for this phone. If you can get this phone at the early bird price of $139 or the pre-sale price of $159, those are even better deals. Alright, if you guys are interested to get this phone, check out the link that I have for you in the video description below, and if you have other questions regarding the phone, let me know in the comment section. I will try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching. I hope this video is useful. See you guys again. Bye.